Have you stopped lately and thought about your favorite fast food mascots? Really thought about them? Was the Burger King once a burger prince? Or did he inherit the title after marrying the Dairy Queen? Is Wendy a Raggedy Ann doll trying to pass as a human? And what is going on in the wacky world of McDonaldland? Today on Weird History Food, we're diving down the rabbit hole of the convoluted history of McDonald's McDonaldland characters. But before we get started, be sure to subscribe to the Weird History Food channel. And let us know in the comments below which fast food mascots you'd like us to dissect next. Okay, let's get clown to business and figure out what's going on with some of these characters.
Smile and say cheeseburger.
Cheeseburger!
McDonaldland was the setting of a series of TV ads created by McDonald's and launched in 1971. Designed to look like the fantasy world of a children's show, like Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood or HR Pufnstuf. More on that connection later. McDonaldland was intended to get very young kids hooked on delicious piles of hamburgers and french fries by introducing them to McDonald's menu items via a cast of rascally characters. While many of these characters have long since been retired, you can still see remnants of them in older McDonald's restaurants and play places, like the relics of a forgotten society. Meanwhile, other characters have remained in a relatively steady rotation ever since, becoming almost as universally recognized as the hamburger clown himself.
I should have known you'd have something like that up your sleeve.
Let's begin our deep dive into the McXtended universe with the Hamburglar.
Today's subject, the Hamburglar.
The lovable bandit we know today is one of the many, many thieves in McDonaldland. Started out as the lone jogger.
Who's that?
That's the lone jogger.
He was portrayed as an old man with a long, pointy nose and gray hair. Not exactly the kind of character that inspires repeat visits. In 1985, McDonald's marketing team took a page out of Charles Entertainment Cheese's handbook and rechristened Lone Jogger as Hamilton B. Burglar. This went a long way toward rehabbing his image from 70s serial killer to something more relatable to kids, like a thief. The most notable change was the burglar's sudden ability to speak English instead of
Rubble, rubble?
his signature catchphrase. But 30 years later, we saw another makeover for the burglar, going from a cartoon burglar to a cool Danny Ocean type, with a Macintosh jacket over his striped prison shirt and dangerous stubble. Check out the Not My Hamburglar Twitter hashtag to see how well this went over with fans. But Hamby Burglar wasn't the only thief in McDonald's league of villains. While we may think of Grimace as a short-armed, jovial purple blob, Grimace used to be a four-armed monstrosity angling to steal himself some milkshakes. Yeah, Grimace began as a low-level pilferer of dessert beverages, but much like the Hamburglar, over time he's evolved into a reformed and repentant rubble-rubbler.
How do you do it? What's your secret?
The most interesting thing about Grimace is his extended family. Grimace has a mom, a dad, a grandmother named Winky, and a great-great-grandmother, Jenny Grimace. He's also got two aunts, Millie and Tilly, as well as an Uncle O'Grimacy, who delivers Shamrock Shakes every year on St. Patrick's Day, maybe as restitution for his nephew's criminal past. That's a large family of purple blobs wandering around McDonaldland. But that's not including Grimace's prodigal brother, King Gonga, who rules over the rest of the Grimaces. Is it really any wonder that Grimace turned to a life of crime? His family has the extended backstory of The Sopranos.
I'm a coward, remember?
Oh, we are not done with the criminal underbelly of McDonaldland. Captain Crook appeared in the 1970s as an adult-sized human Muppet, which is as disturbing as it sounds. And since no two characters can ever be after the same menu item, Crook's MO was snaring the Filet-O-Fish sandwich and having that delicious tartar sauce all to himself. It's like a window into his deranged criminal mind. Much like his extremely unpopular booty, Crook himself never got much love either. And it's not hard to see why. He's an off-putting Captain Hook knockoff. No kid wants that guy hanging around their McDonald's birthday party. Crook only got one redesign in the 80s before finally being retired and sent adrift on the sea of wherever former mascots go when they get discontinued. With a final appearance in 1990's The Adventures of Ronald McDonald, McTreasure Island, we like to think Crook finally got his well-earned wish and now sleeps with the Filet-O-Fishes. Keep your eyes on your fries was the campaign that introduced the largely forgotten Fry Kids, anthropomorphic pom-poms, who spoke gibberish and would steal your french fries before looking at you twice. Man, there is a real problem with food theft at McDonaldland. In fact, the Fry Kids were originally named goblins. Because of the ravenous way they attacked fried spuds.
There are millions and millions of goblins in the French fry patch.
Honestly, there's a way better name. Fry Kids isn't even a pun. We just gave up on that one, McDonald's. The squeaky little critters were initially called the Fry Guys, but the name was changed to the Fry Kids after the debut of Lady Fry, a fry kid with long eyelashes who was introduced in 1986. And while they made a few appearances in commercials and Happy Meals, the Fry Kids were shelved by the following decade, after a final appearance on the Wacky Adventures of Ronald McDonald. Speaking of looking into McDonaldland's rampant crime problem, we present Officer Big Mac. Officer Big Mac is, by all appearances, a human man with 2 all-beef patties, special sauce, lettuce, cheese, pickles, onions on a sesame seed bun for a head. Officer Big Mac is where the McDonald's lore starts to strain incredulity. Officer Big Mac is the chief of police in McDonaldland, where he represents law and order, primarily by rounding up the Hamburglar every time he steals a new batch of delicious hamburgers.
Accused was caught red-handed, sneaking off with a big bag full of McDonald's delicious cheeseburgers.
Which makes it personal for Officer Big Mac, because if he's a fancy hamburger, that means the Hamburglar is abducting members of his family and eating them. Are those his kids? Is this a McDonaldland version of the film Taken? McTaken with cheese. Also, since Officer Big Mac has a hamburger dome but a standard human body, does that mean the Hamburglar is running around with a sack of severed heads?
My nephew is in that bag.
Whatever the case may be, it's hard to believe that Officer Big Mac could be an impartial detective when the crimes of the Hamburglar hit so close to home. Big Mac had a good following in the 1970s and early 1980s, but was dropped from the McDonaldland lineup when the characters received a redesign in 1985. He can still be found in some McDonald's playlands, where future hamburger criminals can roleplay by entering a crow's nest-style prison located inside Officer Big Mac's head. That's some weird symbolism. On the subject of sentient cheeseburgers, Mayor McCheese is a seemingly elder cheeseburger who has been in charge of McDonaldland since his debut in 1971. If ever there was a case for term limits, this is it. He's got to smell pretty bad by now. He sports a jaunty hat and an impressive sash, and is portrayed as charmingly befuddled.
I'm not a cheeseburger, I'm Mayor McCheese, you know.
He also has clear ties to Officer Big Mac. The whole thing stinks of nepotism. Outside of his cameo appearance in the 1998 animated miniseries The Wacky Adventures of Ronald McDonald, Mayor McCheese hasn't been seen in a commercial in almost 40 years. Elections in McDonaldland can be rough. Depending on when you were born, you may have noticed that Mayor McCheese looks an awful lot like H.R. Pufnstuf, the punishingly creepy, life-sized puppet star of a children's show created by iconic television producers Sid and Marty Krofft. It turns out that several of the characters in McDonaldland were actually plagiarized from the show. No wonder there's so many thieves in McDonaldland. McDonald's and the Crofts had originally planned to work together on a campaign involving the H.R. Pufnstuf characters. The fast food franchise hired an advertising agency to work out a concept, and that's when things went fryways. The Crofts were told the deal had fallen through, but in fact, the ad agency dropped them as a client, hired their former employees to build costumes and sets, and put them to work on the McDonald's project, which eventually became McDonaldland. McDonald's found themselves in a big heap of trouble.
Order! Order in the court!
When they lost both the lawsuit and its appeal and were ordered to pay over $1 million in damages.
Now, let's all adjourn to McDonald's for cheeseburgers.
After that, McDonald's redesigned several of its characters to be more legally distinct, and some other characters, like Mayor McCheese, were tossed into the dumpster. You'd be hard-pressed to find someone on the entire planet of Earth who doesn't know Ronald McDonald, McDonald's flagship creepy hero clown mascot, and the unofficial star of the 1988 children's film Mac and Me, predates the creation of McDonaldland by several years, having made his first official appearance in a series of ads in 1963, portrayed by famed TV weatherman Willard Scott.
Isn't that McDonald's hamburger delicious?
But the character got a bit of a makeover for McDonaldland, which included saddling him with a shocking number of enemies, especially for a guy who had the whole town named after him. But when the Krofft lawsuit hit, McDonald's marketing team had to come up with some new ideas, preferably ones that weren't borrowed from somewhere else. So the decision was made to rehabilitate some of the villainous McDonaldland characters. By the 1980s, Grimace, Hamburglar, and Captain Crook had reformed to become the heroes of McDonald's. And according to official McDonaldland canon, Ronald McDonald was the steady hand of influence who showed the criminals the error of their ways and inspired them to turn it all around. Although Hamburglar still dresses like a burglar. Hey, if you find a style that works. In 1980, the McDonaldland crew sorely lacked a female presence. Coincidentally, McDonald's was asking itself, how do we show off our new breakfast menu? Luckily, the fast food conglomerate found a way to hit two birds with one egg and introduced the world to Birdie. In her debut commercial, Birdie fell from the sky one evening while still partially trapped in her shell. Ronald and his newfound criminal friends protectively gathered around Birdie and guarded her all evening until she hatched and decided to make McDonaldland her new home. Though it's unclear what they were protecting her from, considering McDonaldland had recently expunged its criminal element. Maybe hungry McDonald's customers? And while Birdie didn't steal anyone's food, the implications of her existence are much darker than the motivations of a mere fry snatcher. As we mentioned, Birdie was created to promote the breakfast menu at McDonald's.
I'm having breakfast at McDonald's when we're done.
And what is a McMuffin except a vehicle to transfer eggs into your mouth? It's like Mayor McCheese holding public office in a town of people who eat hamburgers.
One time around the world and back, and the winner gets a delicious McDonald's cheeseburger, don't you know?
It is best not to dwell on these things. So what do you think? Which one of these forgotten characters was your favorite? Let us know in the comments below, and while you're at it, check out some of these other videos from Weird History Food.